Hello! Welcome to my review of Ransom Riggs' Miss Peregrine series, Part 1. Yes, Part 1, because I'm going to talk about, in this part, how I felt at the start of the journey and at the middle, because I am definitely well past the middle, in which case Part 2, which we will hit you with next week, is when I've actually finished the third book, and then we can really talk about the story. So this is the non-spoilery part of the review. This is for anybody that is thinking about picking up a copy of Miss Peregrine or not. I highly recommend that you do if you like following things the way I like the following things. We can narrow it down to what I would like to call the Goonies factor. Any 80s kids out there? Well, for those of you who were born a little later than that era, The Goonies was an 80s movie, very iconic, of a bunch of kids that were eventually kind of labeled Goonies. They were the outcasts and misfits, and but each had their own kind of little bit of charm and special skill or whatever it was that ended up going on the grandest, greatest adventure of their lives. And that is kind of like the formula that has spoken to me. I'm kind of an 80s kid in that sense still, and definitely a lot of Goonies vibes from this. The creep factor, the mystery, the kind of old-timey feel to it, but to kind of have that present colliding with a past thing is a very huge thread, and combined with that element of me and my friends are gonna make a stand and we're gonna beat insurmountable odds. To me, I think if anybody's on the fence about Miss Peregrine, if you'd like those two things, right, throw in some coming of age elements as well, and I really think that Miss Peregrine is going to be your thing, because the icing on the cake, actually, apart from the Goonies factor and the coming of age deal, would be the fact that it's a very well written world. It's got its own histories, it's got its own lore, it's got its own legends, right, and it manages to really kind of tie it all together within the adventure. So at the start, here I am, and and that's how we're going to do this review. It's basically beginning, middle, and end. And so in the beginning of this journey, I was seeing all of this stuff unfold. Just you're following Jacob Portman around basically, and he kind of begins to peel back the layers of this of the stories that his grandfather had told him as he was a kid, thinking there might be some truth to this, and actually finding the real truth behind all of these fantastical tales. Like, if it's not going to get you hooked in the first few chapters, then maybe the book's not for you, but as always, we always want to give it a chance to kind of wow us a little bit, and it was just basically down the rabbit hole for me for this first book, which slid, like, I haven't even finished the book and I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna get the second one for sure, which is, by the way, called Hollow City, and it's not just because there's a little girl on the cover with a hollow torso. That's probably just there it's a red herring, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, sorry, and that's the only spoiler I'll say about the book. But I'm close to the end of this middle bit where, because it's good storytelling, the stakes from book 1 are now yay high, and I am honestly very anxious to see what's going to happen next. The third copy of this book is actually the one I'm going to read anyway is sitting in the New York Public Library, because the need to read the third book is very large and very great and very pressing. Next week, I'm going to discuss how I felt at the end of the series, and then go into a little bit of the spoilery bits. And so we end with a very shameless plug of the Miss Peregrine movie, which should be out in theaters right now, as by the time this post airs. I highly recommend you watch it if you like all of the kind of things that you like that I mentioned about the book series, about the Goonies and the coming of age and the stuff, and B, if you like Tim Burton, because this is as Tim Burton-y as it can get. You can put this, the lighting, the costumes, everything, put it right next to every single creepy dark Tim Burton movie you've ever watched, and it totally fits. It's like he's got his own universe, and this is one of the worlds in his universe. And that's how I actually, and speaking of universes, that's how I treat the Miss Peregrine series, in that, for any DC fans out there, this would be Earth 1 right here, or for you Marvel fans, 616. And the movieverse would be Earth 2, Earth 3, doesn't really matter. That's how I feel about the Harry Potter movies and the books and now the stage play. So there's Earth 3 right there with Cursed Child, Earth 2 being the movie, and of course Earth 1 being the books themselves. I was numbered among those who for years did not like the movies, and until, you know, I softened, I guess, in my old age, and got to watch J.K. Rowling, you know, herself say, I love these movies. And I thought, if the author can say, yeah, these movies don't diminish my books whatsoever, but in fact are a retelling of it, and I can live with that, then that opened my mind, and I thought, multiverse, that works. So that's how we treat this. So please, please watch the Earth 2 version of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. It is Burton-esque at its finest, and super creepy and very, very fun. And tune in next week so that we can really talk about what finally happens to good old Jacob Portman, and we get to really kind of deconstruct, which is what I love, and go into spoilery things.